Years of joyfulness. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM, Hits 103.9 FM here in Accra. We're also live on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, myjoyonline.com. We're live in all 16 regions of Ghana via various affiliates, live on X Spaces, Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrosol Platinum Energy, energizing dreams. Coming up, former Supreme Court Judge William Atuguba says the opposition NPP lacks the moral grounds to question the composition of judges handling cases involving the suspended Chief Justice or the removal process.
You look at the trend, public perception, unanimous FC. Was it happening or not? The more important is 3-2. Now look at the empanelments and see if that panel had not been reconstituted. You think it would have come 3-2?
And as the MP for Otafu seeks a judicial review of the dismissed injunction, Justice Atuguba believes the suspended Chief Justice is responsible for the court's politicization.
At the time of the unanimous FC, what was happening? Bafuboni, Kulendi, Tanko, how often did they get onto constitutional panel? Why was it so? Were they not members of the Supreme Court? And that token.
You want to stick for that. Now, 25 promises, 13 delivered, 7 underway, 5 yet to start. The scorecard on John Mahama's 120-day social contract as he marks 4 months in office.
As we will find out in the President's address, it will become apparent very clear that he meant every word that he said to the people of Ghana during the 2024 electioneering period.
With more, as former board chairman of the GRA, Professor Stephen Ade says John Mahama has performed creditably on the economy so far.
In the economy, I think that he must be commended for the steps that he has taken, how sustainable it is, but one has to wait. But I think that the depreciation of the CD has been arrested.
Also, this afternoon, CDD Ghana slams Mahama's new code of conduct, calls 20,000 Ghana cedis gift limit excessive and a getaway to corruption.
It's very difficult to monitor and also determine intention of the person that's giving the gift. So you try to just avoid it. Don't create the situation for people at all. So I think for me, that definitely has to be revised.
We have details as Deputy Presidential Spokesperson reviews appointees as seeking clarity on the code of conduct.
And beyond the frequency, we would also need clarity on the sources. So, for example, if I am receiving frequent gifts within the threshold of 20,000 from a particular source, what does that?
In sports,
Arsenal are counting on Ghana's Thomas Partey to help beat PSG in tonight's Champions League semi-final.
These and more coming up with me, Maame Esi Nyamekye Thompson. Stay for details. This afternoon, retired Supreme Court Justice William Atuguba has criticized the opposition New Patriotic Party, saying they lack the moral authority to question the composition of judges handling cases involving suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu or her removal process. This comes after the NPP held street protests against the process on Monday, while the Supreme Court, led by the acting Chief Justice Bafuboni, dismissed an injunction application to halt the proceedings. Speaking exclusively to my colleague Elton Brove, Justice Atuguba took aim at what he described as selective outrage by political actors, arguing that the NPP's past conduct undermines its current criticisms.
How were they when they were in office? How did they perform? Transparently? Neutrally? In the interest of the people? Did they do that? What? This is the kind of thing I just hate. Pure hypocrisy. Ken Dapper. What did he say? That's an honest man.
It makes the point that the courts should sometimes balance their rulings.
Yes.
In the interest of preserving the security of the country.
Yes, that's an honest man. Are they like that?
But was it right for him to have said so if the court is really implementing the law?
Implementing what law? If they were, what was the cause for him to be apprehensive? You look at the trend. Public perception, unanimous FC. Was it happening or not?
Today there was a unanimous decision in court.
Yes, but that was peripheral. That was, I think, to exclude Bafo-Boni. That was the only issue. But the more important is 3-2. Now look at the empanelments and see if that panel had not been reconstituted. You think it would have come 3-2? I mean, for how long have you not had unanimous until?
And that's why I never have issues with that and say that
yes.
the repaneling
yes.
resulted in the decision going
yes.
against the applicants.
Yes, and that should be sustained. That's what they are fighting to sustain. But they are wrong.
But does that feed into the public perception that the new addition may be working towards a certain political direction?
You go, I mean, what is the impression there? So long as Tokonu puts panels that give unanimous decisions in their favor, that is justice, isn't it? But if it is varied, it goes ahead and hey, I mean, that's the scenario. Why is the MPP and they are championing this course like that?
They say they are defending democracy.
That's democracy. Because when she is there, it is okay, unanimous panels always in their favor. That's democracy. That's the democracy they want to entrench. I have seen that scanning through the events in the courts. That is rubbish. You ordain a dictatorship in place. You have been overthrown through the ballot. Your last citadel is the Chief Justice. You are battling. Hey, if this one falls, we are all out. That is what is happening. That's how I see it. I can't be wrong.
Then it will appear that our Supreme Court is politicized.
Certainly.
But that's not good for a healthy democracy.
Certainly not.
Well, the applicant in the dismissed injunction application, Vincent Ekowasefwa, has served a notice to seek a review of the decision of the court. He's unhappy the acting Chief Justice, Bafo-Boni, presided over the matter.
Our case was premised on the fact that please let it be seen that what is going to happen in this room will be fair and will be just, not necessarily what will be constitutional or what will be legal. And so it was our respective opinion that Bafo-Boni was not properly constituted to sit on the matter. And for that matter, it would have been in his own interest and the interest of the people of Ghana for him to have recused himself from chairing the panel.
So from the onset, you had issues of bias against him.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying, that this particular matter is a very crucial and an important matter where a CJ has been removed. Has been suspended. And you have been made an acting CJ because of that suspension.
So he's already benefiting from that
vacancy.
But retired Judge William Atuguba says the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu cannot escape blame for the alleged politicization of the court.
At the time of the unanimous FC, what was happening? Bafo-Boni, Kulendi, Waman, Tanko. These were fairly senior judges. How often did they get onto constitutional panels? How often? Why was it so? Were they not members of the Supreme Court? Were they not seniors? Under Tokonu. And you see the trend. Let's put pretense aside. Let's look at what is good for Ghana and get that done.
At the court, for example, in a matter that the Member of Parliament for Otafo brought before the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Even before they went into the injunction application, his lawyer, former Attorney General Godfrey Dam, had raised issues about the presiding judge, the acting CJ, sitting on the panel, and makes the point that the acting CJ taking part in that decision, obviously on the background that he is a beneficiary of the vacancy created by the absence of the Chief Justice, and for that reason, it was not going to be fair in terms of the determination of the application he had put before the court. You think he didn't have a case? And that matter was dismissed unanimously anyway.
Well, before her suspension, when this challenge came, when the process was commenced for her removal, Godfred Dame and others brought suits, injunction. Who empaneled?
The suspended Chief Justice.
She had no interest in her own matter. Empaneling involves picking and choosing.
Who to sit?
Yes. And you think she had no interest in that?
Well, there are more revelations in that interview to be aired on the polls at 3 p.m. with Elton Brobe on the Joy News channel. Do make a date. This afternoon, President John Mahama has completed his first 4 months in office with his 120-day social contract yet to be fully implemented. The president, while campaigning in opposition, made 25 promises and set a target of 120 days to fully implement them. The promises included abolishing e-levy, betting tax, as well as the COVID-19 levy. Specifically, there are 9 promises on the economy, 4 on governance, 7 on education and social policies, with 3 on security. Presidential correspondent Maxwell Agbagba reports.
This is the 24-hour economic clock.
A packed auditorium at the University of Education, Winneba, on August 24, 2024. Then candidate John Dramani Mahama addressed an enthusiastic crowd outlining his 120-day governance pact.
1 job, 3 shifts, 3 people. Obiabe Didi.
Your Excellency, now the presidential oath.
I, John Dramani Mahama.
Following his swearing in at the Black Star Square, the countdown began. Now, as the 120-day social contract expires, over half of the 26 promises made have been fulfilled, with a few still outstanding. Key achievements include submission of a full cabinet list to Parliament within the first 14 days, launch of a code of conduct for government appointees. Violators, the president says, will be punished, including dismissals. In March, a national economic dialogue was held to assess the economy and develop a homegrown fiscal consolidation strategy. The government scrapped the e-levy, betting tax and emissions levy within the first 90 days. This week, the president inaugurated the advisory committee for the Accelerated Export Development Council. In education, a national education forum was held in February. A portal has been launched to register first-year students for the no academic fee policy in.
So what's the scorecard for the president's first 120 days? Kweku Asante joins me in studio with more on that. Kweku, tell us about the promises that have been completely achieved.
So John Dramani Mahama promised to nominate within the first 2 weeks the cabinet ministers. He has done so. He promised to constitute the leanest and most efficient government in some decades. He has done so. He has appointed just about 56 ministers and deputies as we speak. He promised to establish a code of conduct for government officials. That has been done. He promised to hold a national economic dialogue. Done. He promised to establish the Accelerated Development Export Council. Done. Hold National Consultative Conference on Education. That is also done. Implement no academic fee policy for first-year students. That has also been completed. The free tertiary education for persons with disabilities, that is the Mahama Cares, also that is also done. Free sanitary pads for students, done. Conduct forensic audits on financial mismanagement cases, that has not been done yet. There is the seed money for Women's Development Bank, a Jumaura program, as well as the launch of the Black Star Experience program. That has all been completed out of the 25.
Well, there are those that are also in progress. Which are those?
Well, he promised to scrap within 90 days e-levy, COVID-19 levy, and a 10% bet levy, as well as emissions levy. He has abolished all these taxes but COVID-19 levy, and that is why we say this is still in progress. There's also the preparation for the 24-hour economy still in progress. The forensic audit on financial mismanagement cases is also in progress, as well as reopen investigations into unresolved criminal cases.
Well, there are also 5 of them that are yet to be touched. Which are those?
Yes, he promised to review taxes on imported vehicles and equipment imported for industry and agric. That has not been done at all. He promised also to review Customs Act to allow salvage vehicle imports. That has not been done. He promised government scholarship administration will be streamlined. That has not been done. He promised to purge security agencies of militia and vigilante elements, at least publicly. That has not been done. And then he also promised to restructure loss-making state-owned enterprises for profitability. He has held a conference on that, but there has not been any concrete action to do this.
Thank you so much, Kwekwasanti. Those details coming from our research desk. While former GIMPA rector, Professor Stephen Adey, says that the new John Mahama government has performed creditably with its handling of the economy in his first 120 days. He spoke on News Desk with me.
In the economy, so far, I think that he must be commended for the steps that he has taken, how sustainable it is, but one has to wait. But I think that the depreciation of the cedi has been arrested. I think that even though to some extent artificially done, and there's a sign as an economist, some dichotomy or disjoint between fiscal and monetary policies. But look, all governments learn on the job, even though he claims to be of experience. The type of economic situation he's in, his experience is almost useless.
Meanwhile, economist at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Patrick Esuming, also agrees with this position. He argues that while the entire social contract promises are yet to be achieved, the performance so far is creditable.
In the main, the president has done well. The speed with which he put together his team was quite good and impressive. And then also, in terms of some of the specific things that he put in the social contract, removal of some taxes, we've seen that in the budget that was read, a lot of them he has managed to remove.
Well, joining me on the phone now is NPP Deputy General Secretary Haruna Mohammed. We're grateful for your time on the Midday News. How would you rate the NDC and John Mahama's first 120 days in office?
Thank you very much. I'd like to say good afternoon to your choice listeners and viewers. I believe that the Ghanaian people will agree with we, the NPP, with respect to the assessment of John Mahama's 120 days. Nobody forced him. He gave us about 26 promises. I heard your analyst gave explanation to some of the areas and considering them done. He talked about the no academic fee policy. It is not done. Go to the schools and ask the persons who are attending the schools. No single university student fee has been paid. First year student. Nobody has been paid. Nobody has been refunded to.
Right.
Again, the free tertiary education for persons with disability. No person with disability fee has been paid. Nobody. And I am very surprised that in all these assessments that people are saying he has done well. I've heard the university lecturer talking about it. I've also heard
the economist,
right?
Yes,
the economist. They talk about it.
Right.
They are talking about averagely their performance on the economy. How can these people perform on the economy when a growth of economy of 5.7 is handed to them?
But Mr. Haruna, at least the promises, 25 of them in the first 120 days, at least many of them have been achieved so far. Is that not good?
Let me give you some fair analysis of this particular instance. In analyzing the 25, it's not 25, it's 26. He has 26 policies for the first 120 days, 26. And if you look at it, those that they have done partially, if you are fair, just to give to them, is 7. If you can say, okay, yes, we'll give you 12. And then the no's are 7. If you put it together, the yes, if it is 12, that's about 46%. Which university lecturer will give you 46% and you will pass the exams? In which university in the world that you will get 46% and you will get a pass mark?
Right. We're grateful for your time. Now, but Director of Policy Engagement at CDD Ghana, Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante, has expressed worry over a major loophole in the gift clause. Speaking on PM Express yesterday with Evans Mensah, he warned that without urgent revision, the policy could be manipulated by officials to receive high-value gifts while staying within the formal rules.
20,000 is almost over $1,000. That is significant. And the other thing that is obviously not clear is that is this 20,000 for the year? Because I can basically be giving you 20,000 every month, for 12 months, and every time I receive it, it's under 20,000, and therefore it's within the rules. So that there are many problems with the gifts procedure.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Government spokesperson Shamima Muslim has revealed that some appointees, including herself, are seeking clarity on the code of conduct.
I'm also even curious as a staffer about the frequency argument. Beyond the frequency, we would also need clarity on the sources. So, for example, if I am receiving frequent gifts within the threshold of 20,000 from a particular source, what does that mean?
I mean, but Shamima, you are not allowed to be curious. You are only allowed to give us answers because you are the deputy spokesperson.
We're having conversations.
No, not at all. Because we need clarity. We need clarity on that subject.
Let me clarify.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Remember that this code. Hold on.
No, I get it. I want answers. We all do. I mean, she says she's curious. No. I'm just saying that I want answers, not to be curious.
Evans,
yeah.
Let's not do that. Remember that I am a staffer who is also supposed to comply. So if I read the code, the staffers and the ministers are not the ones who have prepared the code.
Shamima Muslim is Deputy Government spokesperson. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll take a break. We return with sports, and also police arrest illegal miners at a site under national security protection in Adansi North District amidst investigations over alleged mining by national security operatives at the same site.
For the time being, we cannot say they are national security operatives. At least we have now commenced the investigation to the best of our knowledge, which is also subject to further investigation.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
When I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth with Kale Charcoal toothpaste. This gives me confidence all day.
Anytime you meet Amma, don't be surprised I smile showing my beautiful white teeth because I don't have cavity thanks to Kale Charcoal toothpaste for its natural charcoal properties. In fact, we are like twins. I can't go without my Kale Charcoal toothpaste.
That be why I use Kale Charcoal toothpaste morning and night when I go bed safe. It make my teeth white when it come out every scent from my mouth inside. My confidence level they go up, so I show my 32 teeth all.
Introducing the Kale Charcoal toothpaste, formulated with activated bamboo charcoal powder, ensures whiter teeth and removes bad breath. The strong natural property of the activated bamboo charcoal removes bacteria, absorbs surface stains on our teeth caused by coffee, wines, and tobacco. Welcome, Kale Charcoal toothpaste. Kale Charcoal toothpaste, Sankofa Yenchi.
Kale, happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to the Midday News. We have sports.
Yes, Maame Esi. So Arsenal travel to the Parc des Princes tonight for the second leg of their Champions League semi-final against PSG. They trail 1-0 from the first leg, but are boosted by the return of Thomas Partey, who missed that game due to suspension. Now, the Gunners believe his comeback could spark a historic push to their first final since 2006. Yes, Arsenal midfielder Declan Rice.
Yeah, total calmness. Playing with Thomas, I've realised that that's one of the best things about him is
on the pitch, how calm he is with a football and the calmness he brings to the team. It's really special to play with a player like him. And before I come to Arsenal, there was so much talk about Thomas and how good he is. And not always he gets the recognition he deserves, but playing with him close and training with him every day, for sure, he allows me to be a better player because of the way he plays. And tomorrow night we're going to need a big performance from him and myself, but also the full 11 that are out there, because it's going to be the biggest night in this club's history if we can get to the final. So we're fully ready to go.
Yeah, that's Arsenal midfielder Declan Rice, and of course we are rooting for Thomas Partey to help Arsenal get to
well, we hope they clinch that victory there. Well, thank you very much. Now, 9 people have been arrested in a police raid at Akatecheso in the Adansi North district of the Ashanti region over alleged illegal mining at a site under the protection of national security operatives. The security operatives took over the site alleged to be mined illegally and dangerously by some youth in the community. Earlier media reports suggested national security took over mining activities at the site, a claim that is being investigated. Nana Aljima reports.
The police raid at Akatecheso was prompted by intelligence pointing to illegal mining activities in the area. According to the police, they fired warning shots to get the persons working at the site to yield. Deputy Regional Police Commander for Ashanti South, Chief Superintendent Cephas Arthur, confirms some persons were mining in the area put under national security protection, but the police are unable to confirm their identity.
To the best of our knowledge, which is also subject to further investigation, some were mining, that's per our information.
Unlike the alluvial small-scale mining that involves excavators, this mine does rock mining.
It is known as the tree of life, feeding families, curing illness and sustaining generations. But in the Upper East region town of Binduri, the baobab tree is dying. In communities like Bansi, changing weather patterns and environmental decline are crippling a tree that once held entire communities together. Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Across the savannas of northern Ghana, the baobab tree towers like an ancient guardian, but today these giants are in distress. In Binduri, especially in the Bansi community, farmers are seeing the trees slowly die and are no longer producing fruits.
When I moved into this house, the flourishing baobab tree was a valuable resource for us. We would harvest its leaves to make nutritious soups. However, over the past 3 years, the tree has struggled with poor fruit production. To make matters worse, whenever it does produce fruit, pests seem to appear, further diminishing its yield. This decline has been concerning, and finding a solution to restore the tree's health and productivity has become a priority.
Baobab leaves are an important part of meals in northern Ghana. The fruit is full of vitamin C, but now some baobab trees have stopped growing leaves.
The baobab tree is no longer yielding enough leaves and fruit. You will need to buy them elsewhere. Additionally, the tree's shade is diminishing and we are unsure what's causing its decline.
Alright, yeah, so economically we will harvest the fruit and sell. People buy the fruit and prepare local drink because of the sour nature of it. Some people use it to prepare teas, others also use it mixed with flour to prepare porridge. So people used to buy, we harvest the fruit and they'll buy it. And also the leaves. The leaves also is nutritious, and so people buy it and prepare soup. We'll get money out of it. We'll make money. We used to make money out of it.
Experts say there are many reasons. The weather keeps changing and windstorms happen without warning. Trees that lived for hundreds of years are now falling because they can't fight these problems. Some farmers are asking for help. They want research and protection for one of Africa's most important natural resources. Unless urgent action is taken to steady, restore and protect, the tree of life may become a tree of the past. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Climate Focus is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
Well, spend Mother's Day with your mom without having to cook the meal, drive her around, or entertain her yourself. Joy FM will do all that for you at the Safari Valley Eco Resort for our Mother's Day out on Saturday. Hannah Odami reports.
The roses may wither and die,
The words in the thank you cards will fade, but the memories to be made at the Safari Valley Eco Resort with your mother will forever be cherished. General Manager for Sales and Marketing at the Multimedia Group Limited, Max Fuga, breaks it down.
We acknowledge the role our fathers play in our lives, but mothers are special, and mothers need to be celebrated in a special way on Mother's Day. So this year, Joy FM in partnership with Safari Eco Park have decided to lift the celebration of Mother's Day a notch higher. We have decided to organize this to give you the opportunity to celebrate your mother.
Well, Ashileve is here with the trends. You must take your mother to the Eco Valley.
That's a very good point. I think I should do that. Maame Esi, guess what? Is number one in the trends, Barcelona, but they should not be in the trends because Inter Milan knocked them out. But how come they are rather in the trends? It's only because the Against Supporters Union, probably made up of Real Madrid fans who couldn't make it to the final, dragging Barcelona.
That was fault.
I mean, I think it was a very thrilling competition. They did their best, but unfortunately, Inter Milan, took the wind out of their sails. And so the trending, and of course Arsenal to beat, well, not to beat, to face PSG. I don't want to come off as biased, but let's all see if First Smith and the boys are going to be happy. But of course we are very excited. Kwekwa Santos Barcelona didn't make it. That's all we have for you in the trends.
Thank you very much, Ashileve, and that's how we end the news here on Joy 99.7 FM. Up next is Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil.
Joy 99.